Hey there, I'm back on the Salzier Chronicles, which isn't strictly fair because, as I've said, this was made by a really talented person who had been told nothing about kilt making and still produced this really wonderful looking kilt. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit the owner, and I've discovered some like complications about how they laid out the pleats and stuff like that. And I remember in past episodes, I'd opened up both aprons because we had more pleats on one side than the other, which we can't have. And my plan was I was going to rob out some pleats and then use that to create deeper apron pleats on either side and restore the proper balance where the apron is at or about 50% of the circumference at hip and waist, maybe even a little bit more. But the snag that I've run into is that there's no taper in these pleats, no appreciable taper in these pleats. We've got 5/8 at the hip, and we've got 5/8, maybe less a 16th at the waist. So I had robbed it down to 27 pleats, 29 pleats, and one of those numbers doesn't matter now. Pardon me. And then I started doing my calculations, and I was brought up short because there's no taper here. All of the taper would therefore have to be in the A line, which is what this person had done. And I'd commented on how, pardon me, I swear it's just a frog in my throat. That I commented on how cleverly they'd done this sort of little origami fold to get this dramatic line. But if I was going to do that line, it would have to be 17 at the waist, and it would have to be a full 24 at the hip, and that would produce an A line that would be something like that. And frankly, that's beyond my talent. It's that other person certainly was able to do it, and again by this ingenious fold thing, but I'm not confident I can do it, and frankly I don't want to do it because two things. I think, do you remember that blousing we saw? I think that's where that came from, was this incredibly dramatic A-line. The other thing too is it also makes me rethink this person's prior experience as a tailor. Again, extremely talented, but I'm starting to think if this was a dressmaker, because that is something we see in ladies' kilted skirts of the 40s, 50s, and 60s. But again, so that's something I can't do. So what I'm going to have to do is, I went back to the drawing board. I've been sitting here musing on this for an hour, and I was just laughing at myself about how there's no such thing as wasted training and wasted knowledge, because what I was thinking about was my time at the infantry school in Gagetown, on the Captain Qual, the combat team commander's course, where one of the big lessons was no plan survives contact with the enemy, and that they would actually expect you. And actually, I don't know if they expected me or not, but I passed a couple of assignments by working all night to get it done, and then realizing at 4 a.m. that I'm too stupid with fatigue to make a plan. And I just said, okay, when I presented my plan the next day, I said, well, I haven't finished my plan yet. So I reached the point where I was so tired that I just threw the plan away, and I'm going to improvise. And I passed. But so that original plan hasn't survived contact with reality. So my new plan, pardon me, I'm putting 2 pleats back on either side. So it's going to be 31 pleats. But unfortunately, this means that I'm going to have to pick apart all this lovely handiwork here that I so admired, because I can't do this with parallel pleats. I have to recalculate pleat widths. And to that end, and I'm going to do it in real time right in front of you, 31 pleats. Well, half of 31 is 15.5. So I've marked half, 5/8, 3/4, 7/8, and an inch in my horrible handwriting. So a half is 15.5. 1 inch, of course, is 31. But we want 17 at the waist, and we want 25 at the hip, because my apron is going to be 17. And yeah, my apron is going to be 17 at the waist and 18 at the hip. But we can disregard that for now. So again, using that marvelous pre-literate calculating system, we started at 15 and a half. Now to find out what 31 times, 5/8 is, I'm just going to go 15 and a half, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 31. So 19 and 3/8 is 5/8. And back to find out what a 3/4 is, I can take 15 and a half and add 31 quarters. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 31, 23 and a quarter, and 7/8. Well, 23 and a quarter, we're just going to add 31/8. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 31, 27 and an eighth. But neither of these is spot on. I don't see a 17 or a 25 here, so I'm going to split between 3/4 and 7/8, which would be 7/16. So 23 and a quarter. Now I'm just going to split each quarter, of course, each eighth, of course, is 2/16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 31, 25 and 3/16. Right there, wrong. 25 and 3/16. And that's, so my pleats are going to be 7/16 at the waist. What are they going to be at the hip? Well, somewhere between, wrong, sorry, that is the hip. The waist is going to have to be between 1/2 and 5/8, which is to say 7/16. Now let's see what 7/16 actually turns out like at 15 and a half. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 31, 17 and 3/16. And that's certainly close enough. So there we go. Right, so now I have my measurement for the pleats at waist and hip, and within a couple of 16ths. So great. I'm now, therefore, just going to start picking these apart. And I think what I'm going to have to do, because of this pleat layout is kind of odd, because it kind of jumps back and forth instead of progressing steadily in one direction. It goes forward and back and forward and back kind of thing. Is that I think I'm going to only do this a couple of pleats at a time, because I'm afraid that if I take the whole thing apart, I won't be able to recognize the pattern that this person invented, that it came up with. So there we go. It's whatever time at night. I'm not going to start this tonight. I'm going to have a pint and rest for a bit, and then early bright morning we'll get on this. Today is Wednesday, I think. Let's see if I can, without any drastic disasters happening, I might have this done by the end of the weekend. I'll keep you posted though. Cheers. I tell you, it's just like I was in elementary school again. I get in front of an audience and I have to do sums, and I completely fumble the ball. I quoted the wrong numbers in that video just a second ago. As I said, 31 pleats, 1/2 inch, 15 and a half, 7/16, 17 and 3/8, 5/8, 18 and 3/8, 11/16, 21 and 3/16. A pleat that's 3/4 inch wide. 3/4 inch wide. We would get 23 and a quarter. 13/16 pleat, 25 and 3/16. 7/8 is 27 and 1/8, and so on. So I need 17 at the hip. 17 at the waist and 25 at the hip. So 7/16 at the waist. 13/16 at the hip. There we go. I'm slow, but I get there in the end.